All right, so before we get started, if you would take a minute and make sure that you have silenced your cell phone, etc. Following the reading, we have books for sale in the back, and our poet would be very happy to sign them for you. We'll also have minutes of Q&A immediately following the reading. So thank you all for coming to this event in the Department of English, Rhetoric, and Writing's reading series. Tonight's reading is sponsored by Barry and the Georgia Poetry Circuit. It is my honor to introduce to you Juliana Gray. Juliana Gray is the author of 3 poetry collections. Her most recent, Honeymoon Palsy, role play, winner of the 2010 Orphic Prize, and The Man Under My Skin, as well as the chapbook Anne Boleyn's Sleep. Her poems have appeared in Best American Poetry, Birmingham Poetry Review, 32 Poems, and other journals. And her humor writing has appeared in McSweeney's Internet Tendency and elsewhere. An Alabama native, she lives in Western New York and teaches at Alfred University. How to eulogize a world before it shudders into ash? Juliana Gray asks. Always aware of the coming ash, devoid of nostalgia, with clear-eyed vision and sardonic voice, Gray's poems juxtapose death and love, particularly romantic love. A dying marriage, the tragedy of a father taken at the height of his happiness, dying of sleep apnea the night following his second wedding. How quickly everything can turn, these poems remind us. This is made painfully visible when the speaker, looking at her father's Facebook page, beneath the pictures from the wedding night, pictures she took, reads his final update. Today is my wedding day. I'm a lucky man. The modern ghost, Gray writes, is doomed to walk the web. While some Gray poems are haunted by deep grief, others take a biting look at romance and domestic life, tearing away the white veil to show the reality behind fairy tale expectations. In Bewitched, the speaker addresses a new wife flailing and performing an identity not her own. Your registry has set you up to fail, Gray writes. The crystal wine glasses snapped lightly as the legs of thoroughbreds in the dishwasher. The china, ugly gold-rimmed plates sparked alarmingly to life in the microwave. Even her husband, whom she imagined saying, "I never should have married that witch," looked strange to her, almost like a different man. In another poem, Gray imagines an island of romantic gestures where keepsakes cast into the sea eventually end, where love letters and boyfriends' t-shirts stolen for pajamas wash up on black volcanic sand, and turtle hatchlings choke on golden rings. In another, she describes maraschino cherries as red as valentines and deadly toads. Examining the precariousness of love and life itself, an array of murderers also appear in these pages. H.H. Holmes, America's first serial killer, Lizzie Borden, the biblical king. Gray's writing, while often dark, is consistently vivid and riveting. Like those cherries, as you'll soon hear, hers are poems always poison bright. Please welcome now, Juliana Gray.
second to adjust the AV. Okay, the light is green. How's that? Yeah. How am I in the back? Yes? Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sandy, for that introduction. That was embarrassing. But also very kind. So thank you so much for that, for the intro, and thank you all for coming. This is a really intimidating room to read in. And my set list feels very inappropriate all of a sudden. A little worried. We'll do the best we can. I'm going to start with a few poems, a couple poems out of this book, Role Play, and then we'll move around and see how it feels. But thanks so much for having me here at Berry. I've never been to this college before. I grew up in Anniston, Alabama, sort of between Atlanta and Birmingham, not too far from here, but I've only ever heard about the school, and everybody says how big it was. And the shuttle driver who brought me here today told me that there were 6 deer for every student. Yeah, correct? Okay, cool. So I'll look for the roving gangs of them on the way back to the cottage this evening. All right, I'll start with the first poem in this book. I don't know if Barry has a chapter of Sigma Tau Delta here, the English Honor Society. Yeah. We didn't have one at my university, Alfred University, until I got there, and I started one and became the faculty sponsor. And we don't do a whole lot, but in the fall, one of the activities we do is the students come to my house around Halloween, and we have a literary costume party. So they dress up like a character, or an author, or a concept, or something like that. And it's pretty fun. A girl dressed up as the Norton Anthology of British Literature. She was just a great big book. So those are amusing. So I wrote a poem about that gathering called The Costume Party. So it's got some literary allusions in here, but I think you'll either catch them or it doesn't matter. So The Costume Party. A Mad Hatter, a star-bellied Sneetch, a couple of flappers, Zelda, Virginia Woolf. My honor students who've pillaged the thrift store racks for literary costumes shuck their coats and tell me to guess who they're supposed to be. Hester Prynne is easy. Quentin Thompson's suit is torn and an iron hangs from his belt. Then Kate, a girl I don't know well, clicks into the room in black Mary Janes, a pencil skirt, a sweater. Is this a costume? Has she just come from work? I don't know what to say, except I like her stockings. She smirks. I look again. Isn't her blonde hair a little darker, with newly side-swept bangs? Finally, I laugh. Of course, she's me. Or who she thinks I am. Dr. Gray, with her long hair and sensibly sexy clothes. Dr. Gray, who's fighting adulthood and age by partying with undergrads. Dr. Gray, who can take a joke. Kate and I laugh. Tonight, she's me. And who am I supposed to be? Somebody else. Somebody else. So this is the first poem in this book, and kind of introducing this idea of identities, because I like to write in the voices of other characters. My life is not very interesting. I am an English professor. You know, unless you want to read poems about essay grading, it's not really going to be a thrill ride. So I like to think about characters from history or from literature or some that I invent. And play out different narrative situations. I don't see why fiction writers should get to have all the fun. And as I was saying to some students earlier today, often the poems begin with a question like, what if? what if things went this way for this character? What if this happened? So one poem that I'll read next, we started thinking about the character Nancy Drew, right? Nancy Drew, girl detective, and think, well, what if Nancy gets to be middle-aged and is still single? What then? Because she's so plucky and intrepid, and that's cute in a girl detective. But how does that work out for you down the road? So I thought about what Nancy would do, and I decided she would definitely try online dating. She would just go for it. So this book was published in 2012. And it's already dated because the poem is titled Nancy Drew 45 Posts on Match.com. Nobody even uses Match anymore. So pretend it's Tinder. So the poem is meant to imitate the form of a personal's ad, like you would have posted on Match.com or OkCupid or something like that. So you're describing who you are and what kind of partner you're looking for. And it's got a couple of abbreviations that people used to use, at least in those ads. I don't know if they still do. So one that you'll hear is LTR, and that stands for long-term relationship. And I think otherwise, this does not require explanation. So this is Nancy Drew 45 posts on Pretend It's Tinder. Former girl detective seeks new mystery. Looking for fun. Impossible LTR. About myself. I'm single, twice divorced. Long story short, the high school sweetheart came out of the closet. The father surrogate only wanted to bounce me on his knee. I'm self-employed, still slim and teaching hair. When I was young, I ran a little wild, chasing after thrills and wicked men, mad to drag the shadows into light. Now I'm home, back in River Heights. I'm tired of danger, of bombs and hot pursuits, of being locked in closets, left for dead, but I miss the rush, holding my breath in the dark, listening for footsteps, feeling my heartbeat race. Maybe, I hope, that's where you come in. You, intrepid, fit, attractive, yes, looks do matter. Nancy's got standards. Bright, but not a brain, content to let the woman lead the way. If life is like a dark and winding stair, you follow as your lover carries the flashlight. Turn-ons, lightning, crosswords, antique clocks, secluded inns, pineapple daiquiris, pedicures, estate sales, role play, masks. Turn-offs, liars, secrets, drugs, disease, men with ponytails, the B word, guns. Reply with recent pick, kids okay. My heart's a broken locket. Do you hold the other half? Let's investigate. All right. So there's a couple of those. I'll move on to some of the poems in Hyman Palsy. It's always a little unnerving to see that somebody read the poems and understood them so well. Sadie's introduction was talking about the themes of death and love, and especially marriage in this book. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's my death and marriage book. But some of them are lighter than others. And the first poem in the book is another persona poem, because I still am interested in those. But I was telling the class today, I was thinking about the Cain and Abel story in the Bible, and just how spare it is. Right? Cain slew Abel, that's pretty much all you get. But I was thinking that that's not only the first death in the Bible, but it's also the first murder. And therefore it might give rise to the first ghost. So this is a persona poem, and it's in the voice of Abel. I think you probably would have figured that out. And it's called First Ghost. I think the only thing I really have to gloss in here, if you don't know, is that an acacia is a kind of tree. First ghost. Heaven hadn't been invented yet. I stood, or thought I stood, beside my brother, who still clenched the bloody stone as if he full expected the pile of meat and rags to give him further argument. Then I recognized a broken sandal strap and knew myself the corpse. I'd never seen my own face. Now it burbled up a pulp like rancid pomegranate seeds. My brother prayed for himself as ever, and bent together fallen branches and stones to conceal the animal thing. I struck at him, spat, kicked and howled, all passed over, insubstantial as a dream of rain. The carcass only half buried, blood seeping through the guilty sand. My brother ran away, sobbing. I remained. For a time, the wind amused itself, first covering and then revealing a hand, a bit of hair, a bone. The beetles came and flies, later jackals. An acacia sprouted through my ribs, nourished by my ruined heart. I laughed, or thought I laughed. My brother was a gardener, after all. In this way passed the first few lonesome years. My brothers spread their seed, and the innocent earth grew thick with people, some of them murderers. Since then, I have not lacked for company. That's on the death side of things. The title poem of the book, Honeymoon Palsy, is an example of what I was, again, discussing with the students this afternoon about poetic inspiration. People ask, where do you get your ideas for poetry? And I think we often think that it has to come from kind of high art places, you know, that it has to come from nature or deep thoughts about philosophy or, you know, some kind of wisdom. And I'm sure that's true for some people. This one comes from the trashiest reality TV show in the history of trashy reality TV. Sex Sent Me to the ER. Anyone? Sex Sent Me to the ER? Have you seen the show? It's god-awful. The reenactments are hilarious. I recommend watching it. Get a group of friends together. It's just god-awful. But I was watching Sex Sent Me to the ER. And they did an episode where a guy got honeymoon palsy, and it turns out this is a real medical condition. So honeymoon palsy is when lovers are in bed together and they're spooning, and one of them's head is resting on the other's arm, like while they're snuggling, and this arm goes numb. That's honeymoon palsy. It's an actual thing. The guy on Sex Sent Me to the ER got a blood clot and had to go to the hospital. Yeah, go to the ER. Is it that bad? So that's honeymoon palsy, and I had to look it up to make sure that they hadn't just invented this for the show. But it turns out there's a whole bunch of them. Like if you get so wasted that you pass out in an armchair, so that the arms under both of yours are cutting off the circulation to both arms, that's Friday night palsy. There's a whole bunch of these. And I only wrote about the one, which felt pretty restrained. So this is honeymoon palsy, and it's a sonnet, which you can probably hear. Honeymoon palsy. After fumblings they call making love, the newlywed couple spoons, a pose they've seen in movies. Hand on breast, his nose buried in her hair, his arm shoved beneath her head. The tender weight above his arm seems nothing, so he sleeps, enclosed in bliss, the afterglow's sweet repose. He wakes to a hand dead as a pitcher's glove. Usually, the damaged nerve recovers. Throughout the long, oblivious nights, they lie, seemingly aligned, heart to heart. Already they've learned so much, these new lovers. touching without meeting the other's eye, going numb to each other, part by part. So that was inspiration for Mad TV. But I like to read a lot of history. I like true crime. And I got interested in Lizzie Borden and the Borden axe murders, which I'm sure most people know the little rhyme about, right? Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her father 40 whacks, right? When she saw what she had done, gave her mother 41. There you go. There's the power of poetry right there, right? Rhyme. It's rhyme, so you remember it. Except that everything in that little verse is wrong. Sorry. You gotta stop laughing. It wasn't that many whacks. It was probably not an axe, probably a hatchet. It was her stepmother, not her mother. And also, she was acquitted of the crime. She was not convicted. I think I always assumed, until I started paying closer attention, I guess, that she was guilty. But she was not convicted of that crime and continued to live in that same town for many years. So I got interested in that case and started doing some research, and I wound up writing 3 Lizzie Borden poems that are in the book and take on different points of views and different points in time. And this is the closest I get to her point of view. So the murders happened in Fall River, Massachusetts in the summer, and there were pear trees all around the house, and her alibi was that during this very narrow window of time when her father must have been murdered, that she was out in the barn eating pears. So this is called Lizzie Borden's Pears. And if you've ever smelled a pear tree when it's in full bloom, I think you'll understand these first few lines. It's not a pleasant smell. Lizzie Borden's Pears. In spring, the smell drove her mad. Those blossoms, airy as lace, stank of fish and rot and something else. She'd heard the neighbor boys snicker passing by. She locked the casements until the white petals browned and fell, displaced by hard, ungrateful fruits. Then the days were hot. She raised her bedroom windows, prayed for breeze. That air, impossible to breathe, she could find no relief from it. The ripened pears dropped to earth. At night, their thuds brought restless dreams of strange men lurking in the yard. She woke each morning drenched in sweat. She was often ill that summer. Everyone was ill. The meat went bad in a day, cakes turned sour, her parents retched their dinners at night and breakfasted on leftovers. That morning, Lizzie could not eat, could not abide even the smell of Johnny cakes and mutton stew. She fled into the barn loft, taking an apron full of pears. There, she said. She sat and ate for 20 or 30 minutes. She wolfed her alibi pears to the cores. Perhaps she thought of St. Augustine, who in his youth stole his neighbor's pears, not for joy or hunger, but merely sin. Inside the house, the air had changed. Smell of iron, soft grains. Since I'm in Georgia, I'll read one with a little Flannery O'Connor allusion, just for funsies. So like I said, I grew up in Alabama, and I think it was a pretty normal, I thought it was a normal thing, for men of a certain generation to just have guns with them in the car and go riding around. My dad would take one with us on car trips, and I thought this was normal when I was a little kid. You know, I'm like, what do you need? It was up at the station wagon the whole time when we were going to Disney World. And it seems strange now, but it didn't then. So I wrote a poem about this gun that my father owned. It always made me a little uneasy. This is called My Father's Gun, and there is a little allusion to an O'Connor story. father's gun. Caliber, I couldn't say, nor make or model, nor how the grip settled snug against the palm. Only its ugliness, dark and squat as a poisonous toad. Even Dad didn't want it. Holding it, he wore a look of faint disgust, as if he wished he were wearing gloves, the face of a man collecting a dog's steaming pile. A gift, a thing unwanted, yet set aside just in case. He tucked it underneath his seat on long car trips. Just in case? Of what, a misfit? You never know. Who gave the gun? His stepfather? That man who later killed his wife, my grandmother, shot her, in fact, and 2 others, then died in prison, as my mother often prayed he would. Can that be right? Who is left to ask? Clock hands swing like teachers' arms erasing chalk. I was a child, learning, studying the gun in its drawer when no one else was home. I think that's the bummer low point of the evening. And now I'll get a little lighter. Yeah, all right, I'll step away from the book for a second. So I've been living in the north, in western New York for 12 years now. Western New York, like Rochester, Buffalo, not anywhere near New York City, not near big state, other side. And I really like it except for winter. So, except for that 9 months of the year, it's a lovely place. But the people there they're really more like Midwesterners, but they're definitely not Southerners. And the differences sometimes are very apparent. I don't know how many of y'all here would have this this word in your vocabulary, this phrase, for when the sun is shining but it's raining at the same time, right? And can somebody help me out? What do we say?
The devil's beating his wife.
The devil's beating his wife, right? What on earth? Where did that come from? Yeah, and that was the thing that you say. The first time I wrote that out, my new Yankee friends, they were like, "Excuse me, what?" So I started thinking about that phrase, and thinking about if the devil did have a wife, what kind of woman would she be? And that little linguistic thing, I took one of those quizzes, BuzzFeed. We'll tell you where you're from, and what part of the country in 25 questions, and that was one of them. And they said that was from a pretty specific part of Alabama and Mississippi. And then they said, what the hell, Alabama, Mississippi? So I was thinking about the devil's wife as a certain kind of Southern woman. Probably an Albanian. So this poem came from that. This is called The Trick of the Light. This aberration, sun refracted through illogical beads of falling rain. Up north, they give a pretty name, sun shower, as if a fruit could thus become a flower. Our Alabama exegesis says the devil must be beating his wife, enraged that God created such a beautiful day. And who is she? Not Persephone. No, a woman more like us, more like to eat blackberries than pomegranate seeds. A woman who shops at Walmart. Yes, in hell. A woman with crooked teeth and blonde hair, parted brown, who cheers for Auburn, though her parents couldn't afford to send her there. A woman who loves her man even when he reels on her, who screams apologies for whatever she must have done, anything to make him stop. A woman who tells the cops, of course, there are many cops in hell, that it was a mistake. The neighbors heard the TV turned up loud. She doesn't need their help or shelter. She won't be pressing charges. and the golden light of heaven burns down and sparkles through her tears, and the devil swears it will never happen again, and he buys her a present, a pretty ribbon in 7 colors to wear around her neck, his promise, his solemn bond. While I'm on the subject of bad friends, let me ask before I get into this one, are there any drummers in attendance? They're lovely people, they're wonderful. The first reading on the circuit that I didn't ask that question until afterwards, and then nobody raised their hands. I think they were afraid to admit it. Or make some comments at the expense of drummers. They're lovely. They're lovely people, but I briefly, years ago, had a relationship with a drummer, and it turns out there's a whole genre of drummer jokes, and my friends knew lots of them, but they didn't tell any of them until after I'd already broken up with this guy, and I was like, you could have saved me some time. You know, why didn't you break these out a few weeks ago? So the poem begins with some jokes. Again, not about anyone present here, who are sensitive and talented people. I'm sorry, not reading. So yeah, it's got some jokes, and otherwise pretty much everything in the poem is like documentary fact. So this is called Rebound. What do you call a drummer without a girlfriend? Homeless. Why did the drummer stare at the can of frozen juice? He said, concentrate. Yeah. My friends must have been saving up these jokes for weeks, but shared them only after the fling had ended. What do you call a woman who loses 180 pounds of useless fat? Divorced. Yes, the drummer was tall and strong, an ex-Marine who served in Somalia and won a medal for quick decision-making, which means he'd shot a camel that was blocking the road. But oh, the way he lifted me, held me by the hips, carried me from room to room, so in the morning I'd have to right the fallen furniture, clean my handprints from high on the bathroom mirror where I braced myself like tidying a murder scene. When we broke the futon, felt its legs snap and buckle beneath us, I laughed, but he kept going. I visited his place only once. His rented room was slanted 5 degrees as the house slipped downhill towards a creek. He'd made it up for me, swept the floor, but either didn't own or couldn't find a dustpan, so I almost walked right into the mound of dirt, hair, broken glass, and change, enough to buy a watery beer downtown. I picked out the coins and left them atop the crate that served as his nightstand. His father had died not long before. He wanted to fall in love. It took me over a week to convince him that we had broken up. Later, after he was dating a girl I'd introduced him to, I heard that he and my ex had become friends. It was inevitable in that college town, that sticky dive bar where, the story goes, a man got stabbed during an argument about what possums eat. I wonder what they talk about. Music, probably. Crunchy guitars, fuzzy amps, why a pillow and a bass drum helps to muffle the sound. Sadly, all true. All right, I'm going to go back into the book. If you want to watch something truly horrifying, and who doesn't, go to YouTube and find videos. Right, just in a sense there, just go to YouTube. But if you look for videos about factory factories that process maraschino cherries, right? The really, really bright red maraschino cherries that you get on top of your, or an ice cream sundae or in a cocktail. It's horrifying what they do to these poor fruits. There's an elaborate chemical process, and it's just gross, and you'll never eat another one of those cherries once you've seen it. So I wrote a poem about that. Around line 4, you're going to hear just the names of some different types of cherries. So this is maraschino. Means liqueur distilled from small black mascara cherries. Means cherries preserved in that liqueur. Means this is going to hurt. Rainiers, golds, plump royal ands are soaked in brine, bleached like blood-stained clothes in calcium chloride and reeking sulfur dioxide until their brightness leaches out and skins are plasticized to snap between the teeth. They steep in great vats of sweet dye, red as valentines and sicklies are deadly toads swirling cold in a slow centrifuge of sickly red. And here's the handsome man who calls you sugar, calls you other things when the lights are out, shaking a frosted bullet of bourbon, vermouth, bitters, shattered ice. He strains it into a cone-shaped glass that holds a single maraschino, poison bright. It drowns in amber, bumps against the glass. Yes, he expects you to eat it, even as it settles like an excised lump preserved for biopsy. He expects you to put on lipstick, take the cherry whole into your mouth, and work your tongue until you've tied the stem into an impossible knot. Take your time. He'll watch you do it. He can wait all night, even if it takes the whole damn jar. This is also another song. There's a reference to the movie Heaven's Gate and Dijon mustard. Oh, I'm about to drop an F-bomb in this church. Whoops. Oh no. Oh, it's too late now. I have to do it. Sorry, chapel. This is a letter written on a boarding pass. I stole your trick, a dab of Dijon whisked into the scrambled eggs, yellow to yellow, a little tang. I will not give you credit. Out back, scratched in snow, a wallow where deer have slept. You grind your teeth at night. Let's fuck. Let's eat too much ice cream. Let's walk the dog. You can dim the light. Let's finally watch Heaven's Gate, the scene where fresh-faced students twirl their ladies' skirts on the lawn, the scene where lovers skate a guy on ice laid thick like fondant over dirt, the scene where everything is on fire. Make me a drink. Show me how to start this letter. Dear friend, dear no one, dear heart. I think I'm going to do just two more. There was an anthology that came out a couple years ago called The Book of Scented Things, and it was poems about perfume. And the editors, they had an interesting little process. So they contacted a bunch of poets in advance and said, look, we're going to do a book of perfume poems. Are you interested? You want to be on board? I said, sure. And they sent you a tiny, tiny little vial of perfume. And you didn't get to pick what it was. They just chose at random and put it in the mail. And they said, you know, wear it for a couple days or dab it on your pillowcase, you know, live with it, see what inspires you. And I'm not a perfume person to begin with, but if I were, it would not be this one. It was just incredibly sweet and cloying, and I hated it. So I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to write a poem about how much I hate this. They're not going to like that. So I sat down to write about this perfume, and it was one of those poems that started in one place and then ended somewhere that I did not see coming. So I kind of surprised myself. So the title of the poem is also the name of the perfume, which is French, which I do not speak. So I apologize for this pronunciation. But it's a vanilla apricot comptoir Pacifique. I've never been sweet, but 2 dabs behind the ear and I'm a sugar cookie, a walking confection, light as vanilla meringue. I strolled downtown past a park where children abandoned slides, tumbled like chimpanzees from the jungle gym, begging their mothers for candy. The ice cream parlors were mobbed for Tutti Frutti. The bakeries sold out of snickerdoodles, shortbread, ladyfingers, then barred their doors. I had a craving too, so stepped inside a hipster bar. The patrons' nostrils flared. They tossed their PBRs and ordered rounds of craft cocktails with muddled apricot, agave nectar, blood orange, vermouth, and local cider. Their jaws ached for a taste of me. One skinny boy followed my trail through the town gone mad for sweetness, back to my cottage in the woods. He told me his name as I peeled away his jeans, but I just called him Hansel. The skinny boys are all called Hansel, and they fatten up just fine. I finished that and I was like, oh, I'm the witch. Cool. Cool. All right, I'll finish with the last poem in the book. So the first one in here was First Ghost, the Abel poem, the Ken Abel one. And this one is another one that's kind of a fairy tale riff, kind of a fairy tale update. And it's a little weird, but I like it. So this is called Once. Once, I found myself lost in a wood, not an allegorical wood, but real forest, oak and loblolly pine, probably owned by a lumber company biding its time. I wandered down the paths worn by whitetails. The sun fell behind a stand of poplars. I had no bars and soon no battery. The ardent peepers sang all night. The moon and I hummed along. It was rather nice to be alone, and so I did not rush or panic. I licked the dew from magnolia leaves. I ate 7 toadstools the color of napalm and did not die. My hair grew long as Spanish moss, and I brushed it smooth with a comb of bones. Why cry out or try to find a way to leave when everything I needed was there? No one missed me or sent a search party. Perhaps I was not lost at all, but came by choice. I slept on a bed of ferns. Oh, the smell of the cooling earth. Oh, the softness pushing through my back, curling intimately through my jaw, and feathering the bird bones of my ear. A red fox made off with my tibia, but I did not begrudge it. He was a fox. I like to tell this story on summer nights when owls cruise above on soundless wings. Remember, every word of this is true. Thank you. Turn it back on. There it is. Should be. You're in. So we've got time for a couple of questions if anybody has any burning issues that I can resolve, either about poetry or trashy TV or what else. Or you can listen to me drink directly into this microphone. Avery was asking about inspiration for poems. I think it's anywhere. Pay attention, keep your eyes open, right? So I read one that came from trashy TV. I read someone that came from the Bible. One from overhearing, hearing the Yankees react to something that I said. I was in a car with a friend. We went to see some Marvel movie like Avengers or something. It was me and my friend and his teenage son and two of his sons in the back seat. So it was like three teenage boys back there and they're yammering about video games. And I think they were talking about Zelda games. And one of them said, "Why is the moon so evil?" And I was like, that's a great line, right? And that became the title of a poem. And the poem was trying to answer that question. Not in the Zelda way, I don't play it's going to do that. But why would the moon be evil? Why would the moon want to, perhaps get revenge on things that people had done to it, for example? And that was just paying attention. Just listening to something that this kid had said. It was an interesting sentence. It was an interesting question. So sure, nature, philosophy, spirituality, all that kind of stuff, but also just conversation, the world around us. Just pay attention. Write about what interests you. Yeah.
What do you think are the strongest skills you need to be a successful poet?
Caffeine tolerance. High caffeine tolerance. A work ethic. It's work. It takes a while to get something right. And you have to be patient to know when you haven't got it right yet and not be in a hurry to say, "Oh, well, good enough." No, take the time. Take the time to work with it and get it right. But yeah, I think those are good qualities for all kinds of artists, all kinds of people. Yeah, the poets that I know that I really admire are, like I was saying to Avery's question, are the people who pay attention. They're always listening for something musical or interesting in the language. Yeah.
A lot of your poetry sounded like mosaic as well. Like they sounded more, like prose. Do you dabble in prose as well?
What you heard was almost all metered. It was almost entirely iambic pentameter or iambic tetrameter. If it sounded natural enough that it sounded like prose, then I'm going to pat myself on the back when I get back to the cottage, because I think if you're writing in form like a sonnet or iambic pentameter, blank verse or something like that, in a way that calls attention to itself, that sounds kind of forced or stiff, that means you're probably not doing it very well. So if that sounded natural, then I'm glad. It actually was metrical. I do a little prose. I write a little bit of creative nonfiction. I've done a few essays, and I just barely kind of dabble in flash fiction, but I'm not very good at plot. Characters doing stuff is hard. I don't know what they're supposed to do. Most of my characters sit in a room and have amazing thoughts, and that's not going to sell me movie deals. So yeah, it's not really my forte.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind describing like an average process for like an average poem? Like how long it takes to compose, revision, those kind of things?
Okay. The question was about the average process for composing a poem. Some people write every day, right? Sit down and have that kind of discipline, and that would not work for me. That would be banging my head against a wall. I'm lucky if I get to sit down to write maybe 2 mornings out of the week, usually when I'm asked on the weekend, because I teach, got a job. And usually I don't sit down to write until I've already got an idea in my head. It's usually something I've been thinking about for a couple of days and working over. And so usually by the time I actually sit down to type at the computer, I've got the first 2 or 3 lines already written. So that helps. I get a little bit of a head start, and I don't have to stare at a blank screen for too long. But I don't know if there is an average process. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you write that first draft and it's almost there. That's awesome. But sometimes not. I was telling the poetry class today that I recently revised a poem, and the first draft was in my 2017 folder. So it's at least a year old. It's probably about a year and a half old. And it's been in the back of my mind for all that time because I wanted it to work and I knew it didn't. And I wasn't sure how to fix it. I think I have it now. But it took a while. That was kind of awesome to finally get it right, but slow going. Yeah. You just gotta do what works for you. The people who write every single day, get up or write in a journal or something like that to get themselves started. If that works for them, I think that's terrific. It just doesn't work for me. Yep.
How do you end it all?
Yeah. The question is how to end a poem. Sometimes the ending is the first thing I've got, and then the question is how to get there, right? How to earn that. But then sometimes the ending is a surprise, like the one about the perfume that I read. I did not know that it was going to go in a Hansel and Gretel direction when I started. So that was kind of fun. I think, one of my teachers always told us to write past the ending, right? Don't stop with the interesting thing that triggered the poem. That's probably the beginning, right? So write a little past what you think is the ending, and then sit back and look at it and go, do I need to say more? Do I need to cut something? How is this? But usually for me in the process of a poem, I'll have an image in mind, and I'll go, okay, that's what I'm writing toward. I'm going to end with this thing. It usually just sort of suggests itself. But I don't know, every poem is different. And sometimes they're easy. That's fun. When you're sitting there writing and you look up and 2 hours have gone by, and it felt like 5 minutes, and you've got something pretty good in front of you, that's a good day. So I hope we all have more of those days.
Do you find yourself in your process like jotting down notes as ideas come to you,
Oh, yeah.
recording on your phone, or do you prefer doing things on a laptop? Or
I've got it on the phone usually. I was saying that I've got really bad handwriting, so doing journaling or something like that would just frustrate me terribly. I've still got the little note on here about why is the moon so evil. I was taking notes for a long time of some Yankee sentences, is the title of this note, of just things that I would hear my new Yankee friends say, and that turned into a little short essay of actual words and sentences that came out of their mouths, such as, I've always wanted to see the St. Lawrence Seaway. We could kayak to the farmer's market. So that was just a list on the phone that I was compiling for probably a couple of years, and finally got enough of them. I was like, okay, let's do this. I'm about to mock my friends. I don't think I've shown that to them yet. Don't tell them. But yeah, keep some little notes, or keep the drafts of poems that don't work. Right? If you don't delete anything, put it over in a drafts folder, save it in a journal, because you might be able to go back and cannibalize a line or an image, or start it in a different place, or who knows. There was a poem I wrote when I was an undergraduate, and you know, it wasn't too great. And I revised it 10 years later because I had a different perspective on the experience that I was describing, and finally worked. That took a while. Others? Should I end the sermon? What? Okay, wait, one more. Let me get in the front, Avery, since you already asked one. Let me get this. Yeah.
Yes,
No. I'm picking you.
She said,
Okay.
Hi.
So you'll have to forgive us for this question,
Okay.
but this is a Berry tradition that started when Jericho Brown came to the campus 2 years ago.
Oh.
You don't have to have any opinions, but what are your opinions on Beyonce?
I don't know why she's married to Jay-Z. He seems really As far as I can tell, she's pretty awesome. I don't know, there's the rumors I would get. I'm not going to write about that one. I won't get in trouble. Team Beyonce. Well, thanks so much for coming tonight. I really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.